Maybe. Maybe we get nothing. Let's see. What is going on? Okay. Thanks. Did you get it? Here, give it to me. You just not. Can I have it?
I hate this.
Here. You're gonna use your muscles.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Exactly.
All right. So Pythagorean theorem, couple of things. Number one, you can only use the Pythagorean theorem if you have a right triangle. So that's the first thing I would say. Only works with, my pen is dying, a right triangle. It only works with a right triangle. How do we know if a triangle is right? Like, what's it have? Yeah, it has that little square. And if it doesn't have the little square, what does the measure have to be in the corner? 90 degrees, yeah. So it either has the square or it has 90 degrees written in the corner, okay? So when we think about a right triangle, you have two parts of a right triangle. You have what's called the legs, and you have the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. So it's side C, and I'm going to write a little note that says it's opposite the right angle. Okay, so the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. The legs, A and B, are the sides that make the right angle. So if I think about the sides, side B meets side A, and they're perpendicular. You guys remember seeing that symbol? So the legs are the two sides that are perpendicular to each other, okay? And it doesn't matter which one you call A and which one you call B, they're interchangeable. Questions about how to label a triangle? Moving on. So in a right triangle, the sum, that means we're going to add the lengths, God bless you, of the legs. So the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. Well, what does that really mean? It's just saying if you square both of the legs and add them together, that is the same thing as the square of the hypotenuse. Okay. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Have any of you guys seen that before? You should have done that maybe probably in 7th or 8th grade. Yes? Okay. So let's look at example number 1 and tell me which side is C. I try to always label my C just so I don't mess it up. Yeah, C is the X. So if I use the Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to say 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. Okay. So 3 squared is 9. And 4 squared is, and that equals C squared. What is 9 plus 16? So 25 equals C squared. I want to know what C is, not C squared. How do I unsquare something? Have we talked about that? Yeah, I have to take the square root of it. Now, the square root, I think that we did that yesterday. Remember you push the second button? Yeah, and then the x squared button. And that's how you get the square root function. So the square root of c squared is c, and the square root of 25 is 5. So I want you guys to do example number 2. Start by labeling which side is c. You try example number 2, using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Good job. So what do you have? 6 squared plus 8 squared, and that equals 100. So 100 equals c squared. Mm-hmm. And how do I find c? What do we do over here to get c all by itself? Because right now I have c squared. Good job. So do you see this direction right here, second x squared? Mm-hmm. So if you hit that second and then the x squared button, it'll give you this little guy right here. Type in 100 there. Equals. So what'd you get?
10.
Yeah, c equals 10. So there's something special. My pen is starting to die. I need to get a new battery. So there's something special about the first triangle, triangle number 1, 3, 4, 5, and this triangle that has side measures 6, 8, 10. What? They're doubled, right? The 3, 4, 5 is doubled, and I get the 6, 8, 10. This is called a Pythagorean triple. And all that is a set of 3 integers or 3 whole numbers that work for a right triangle, work in the Pythagorean theorem. And there are tons of like sets of numbers that make it true. But the cool thing about the 3, 4, 5 is not only is 3, 4, 5 a Pythagorean triple, but any multiple. So Parker, you said, oh, that's doubled, right? What if I had taken the numbers 3, 4, and 5 and multiplied it by 3? What would those be? Tripled. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 3 is 15. And it just keeps going on and on. And that's true of any Pythagorean triple. That's why they're so cool. So not only does the Pythagorean triple work, but any of its multiples. Okay. Let's look at example number 3. Do you guys feel like you could set that one up? Okay. So 3 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. 9 plus 49 is c squared. And the square root of 58 is c, which is about 7 point what? 7.6. Okay. So for example number 4, what are we trying to find? We're trying to find c. For example number 4, what are we trying to find? Yeah, but what side is that? It's one of the legs, right? So let's call it a for a second. So a squared plus 11 squared equals 12 squared. because it's one of the legs, right? So we don't know what a squared is, but we know that 11 squared is 121. And we know that 12 squared is 144. How do I get a squared all by itself? What would I do to solve that? Trying to get a squared all by itself. What do I have to move away from it? Yeah, I have to subtract that 121 minus 121. And when I do that, I have that a squared equals the square root of 23. Well, a squared equals 23. Sorry, I have to take the square root of both sides. So a is about 4 point something. What are we thinking? A is about what? So second x squared, and then type in 23 and hit enter. 4.8. Okay. Do you guys feel okay about that? Okay, we are going to skip number 6 because you guys do not know how to factor. That's something that you have to use like seriously quadratic formula for, and we don't know that yet. But we can do number 5. What are we trying to find for number 5? One of the legs. So let's call it a again. Is that all right? So a squared plus 10 squared equals 26 squared. A squared plus 100 equals 676. What do I want to do? Yeah, subtract 100 from both sides. A squared equals 576. I'm going to take the square root of 576. I find out that a is about, sorry, what is a about? It's exactly 24. Yeah. So this is another Pythagorean triple. So let's write this one down. 10, whoops, maybe 10, 24, 26. It's a special set of numbers. It's another Pythagorean triple. Notice how both of those are, all three of those numbers are divisible by what? 2. Yeah. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 24 divided by 2 is 12. And 26 divided by 2 is 13. Yeah. So the actual Pythagorean triple is 5, 12, 13. The 10, 24, 26 is just a multiple of that. Okay. I would say 90% of your problems are a multiple of 3, 4, 5 or 5, 12, 13. Okay. Wait for it. You see, we just multiplied all those numbers by 2 to get the next round, okay? Good deal. Okay. So let's scroll all the way down to the next page of notes. Did you not get something? I think you got everything. Okay. There we go. So we're right here. So we are going to do 1, 3, and 5. Is that all right? Let's do 1, 3, and 5. So what are we doing on? Actually, we'll do, yeah, that's fine. Number 1, tell me what to set up. Sebastian. What am I trying to find? Which is what side, the hypotenuse or a leg? Hypotenuse. So I have 2.3 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared or x squared. So someone tell me what 2.3 squared plus 5 squared is. So I can just kind of like, what is it? 30.29 equals c squared. Square root it. 5.5 is about c. Do you guys feel okay about that? Okay, you guys do number 3. What is 7.5 squared plus 14.5 squared? Anyone? What is it? 266.5. And when I take the square root of that, good job, you guys. So do you feel okay with this? Do you feel proficient? No or yes? Okay. Let's just do the word problem, number 9, and then we'll get you guys started on your homework. Mm-hmm. Equals x. My pen is starting to die. I've got to quit our notes pretty quickly. Oh, I didn't even erase that. Let me erase that really fast. Okay. So this question is about a baseball diamond. It just says, hey, all of the bases are 90 feet apart. So each one of these sides measure 90 feet. It's asking you, how far is it from home plate to second base? So we're really just looking at this triangle right here. No. What kind of a triangle is that? It's a right triangle. Here's the right angle right here. Yeah, it's going to be 90 squared plus 90 squared equals c squared. That's exactly right. $127.27 feet. I'm going to put a feet on there, okay? So I'm going to pull up Canvas really fast, and we're going to talk about, I tried to be real specific with what your homework was. You should absolutely get it done for sure with at least 15 to 20 minutes to spare. And I will call you up, like I'll just call you out and I'll have you come up here and we'll talk about where you want your Nerdle extra credit. Okay. So here, you have to do C is about 127. Perfect. Okay. So feet, FT. So we are doing on the page that we were just on page 24, which is the page that you are at right now. I want you to do numbers 4, 6, and 8. Circle those. 4, 6, 8. Okay. On the next page, page 25, you're doing 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. It's 14 questions. Don't say, oh my gosh. On page 26, you're doing 2 and 3. And on page 27, you're doing 9, 11, and then 12 and 14. Okay? Don't do those. I don't want you to do that. Yeah. Cross it. You can cross off. Perfect. Okay.